Fantastic. So, guys, I welcome you to this afternoon's quiz. All right. This quiz is meant to sharpen your abilities, of course, to apply yourselves when it's come to dealing with audit. So, it's going to be an exciting quiz, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this unfolds. All right. I'm looking forward to seeing how this unfolds, but also to just see how you're going to apply yourselves to this quiz for the purpose of understanding what authors do, what authors go through, uh, excuse me, and of course, just the basic principles of, beautiful and amazing principles of good corporate governance. So, corporate governance is going to be an interesting issue, not just today, but also in the years to come. So, guys, feel free to participate. All right. Of course, like we said, at the end of the day, there's always a winner. Second place and second place, first place and second place, who will always be able to walk away with a payment. Okay. We have a payout for last week and, of course, a payout for this week. So it's also interesting as we get to do the quiz, but also we keep motivating one another. So, guys, I'm very much happy that you've come through and you've joined me. All right. So fantastic. Let's get into it. Okay. Let's get into it. So, guys, what we now have is a beautiful question, and I'm gonna start with this time around. I'm gonna start with Natasha. Natasha, I'm gonna put you on the first spot. Okay? Last
Okay, sir.
time we had put Mr. Hems on the first spot. This time around, we want to put Natasha on the first spot. So Natasha will be the first person to pick questions. So what we have questions 1 to 10. What you're going to be doing, I ask you, pick a question from 1 to 10. We ask you. If you fail the question, a friend can either request to pick it or to choose a different person, a different question. So the only person who can request to pick a question is the one who's supposed to be asked a question after you. The rest cannot do that. After that, each question is going to be worth two marks, 2 points. So each question is worth 2 points. All right. So each question is about 2 points. So every correct question you answer is about 2 points. So we are taking you through a full round. It's going to be a full round of good corporate governance. So what we have here, uh, we have Natasha. All right. We're going to do something like this. So we have Natasha, and of course, Natasha will be the first one to be asked. So let's get into it. Natasha, you be the first one to pick a question from 1 to 10. So the timing is going to be all the time. It's going to be 30 seconds. For every question that you are asked, you have 30 seconds to explain your answer and, of course, to do that. So to help with that, what I've done, I have turned on my timer to be able to assist me with the timing, but also to check through how long it takes you to respond a question. So at this point in time, allow me to bring Natasha on board. And of course, just to say, Natasha, pick your question from question number 1 to question number 10.
Question 7.
Question number 7 reads, okay, explain two rows, benefits and the drawbacks of audit committees. Explain two rows, two benefits, two drawbacks of audit committees.
Okay, benefits. The first one will be of audit committees, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the first one is they look at the company's internal controls and risk management. Then the second one is I think that they look at the independence of external auditors, both internal and external auditors. Then the drawbacks. What can be the drawbacks? Okay, I think on the drawbacks side, I'll pass.
All right, fantastic. Okay, Natasha, thank you very much for that. I'm going to give you 1 out of 2 points. That's great. So Natasha gets 1, okay? Let's ask the same question. We are going to go to Chansa. Chansa, your number 2. Do you want the same question or you want a different question? All right, maybe Chansa, I'm going to ask you a
I'll go
different
for the
question
same question.
because. Okay, now I'm saying I'm going to ask you a different question because.
I'll go for the same question.
All right, so I'm saying I'm going to ask you a different question because this question has been partly answered by Natasha. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about the drawbacks, Natasha, okay? The drawbacks of audit committees, Natasha, one of them was that the executive directors may not understand the purposes of audit committees, right? Sometimes when you see an audit committee being put in place in a company, directors are scared. Sometimes they think these guys have come to do some witch hunt, all right? That's a weakness. But again, I'm going to bring back this question, not in a 2 points format. I'm going to bring it back in a 6 points format. So I won't say the other drawbacks. I'm just going to give you one for now, okay? Because there are more questions on this coming up. And one benefit, again, audit committees monitor the quality of external and internal audit work. That's one benefit, of course. And one role is for them to oversee financial reporting, internal control systems, and of course, risk management systems. So I've given you one role, one benefit, and one drawback. All right. I'm going to bring back this question. So I want to give you a lot of benefits, drawbacks, and roles for now. So, Chance, pick a question from 1 to 10.
10.
Question number 10 reads, all right? Question number 10, let me scroll up a bit so that I can bring back yeah, fantastic. So question number 10 reads, in the context of audit and assurance, explain the terms or term corporate governance. In the context of audit and assurance, explain in details the meaning of the term or terms corporate governance. Yes, Chansa? And your time starts now.
This is the process by which managers direct and control the affairs of the entity.
Fantastic. That's very true. That's corporate governance. Is that answer complete? That's the detailed analysis. Is that answer complete? All right.
So it has to do with.
Okay.
So it has to do with the control environment, that is the attitude and awareness that directors have towards the risk and risk management of the entity. Yes.
Right. Fantastic. Fantastic. So I'm going to give Chansa 1, okay? The Chansa will give you 1 mark, but because you've defined this, corporate governance is about how directors should run these companies. All right. But remember, if you explain in details, we said the word corporate and governance, we split this one into 2. You remember that? The word corporate means companies, while the word governance means an act of controlling, directing, managing, or running something. So corporate governance includes policies, procedures, or structures that help a company run properly in the best interest of the shareholders. All right? That's what you should be able to define corporate governance. So I'm going to give you 1 out of 2 points. Fantastic. So there we go. So we have 1 out of 2 points. Okay, fantastic. So again, I'm gonna go back to Mr. Hems. This time we'll go to Mr. Hems. Mr. Hems, pick a question from question number 1 to 10. Mr. Hems, pick a question from 1 to 10.
Number 2.
Question number 2. Fantastic. Explain the core reason why corporate governance exists.
The core reason why corporate governance exists This is to deal with the urgency problem. It tends to resolve the urgency problem so that management can put up best practices to run the company.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm going to agree with that. All right. Corporate governance was established to protect the interest of the shareholders, to force those who are charged with governance. Okay, there are some terminologies that I wanted you to use, but because you've said it, I'm going to be tempted. I'm going to be tempted. I'm going to give you one. Okay. I'm going to give you one. You've left us something extremely important. All right, fantastic. So, yes, you want management to be able to put forth best practices and also to do with the agency problem. But I would appreciate if you talked things to do with accountability as well. All right. But anyway, since there's a question on that one, I won't explain it for now. I'm going to explain again as we go. So now we go to Mr. Piri. Mr. Piri, pick a question from number 1 to 10. Piri, pick a question from 1 to 10. Pick a question from 1 to 10, Mr. Piri. Yes, Mr. Piri.
Question 3.
Question number 3. Fantastic. Memory, your camera must be on. Mr. Piri, please turn your camera on as well. So question number 3. Question number 3 reads, who sets the rules? Who sets the rules? Who sets the rules? Of course, in this context, when we say who sets the rules, we're talking about rules in relation to corporate governance, okay? Who sets the rules in relation to corporate governance? Yes, Mr. Piri, your time starts now. $20 seconds. Oh, all right, Mr. Piri has been logged out. I'm gonna just cancel this one, and I'm gonna go to memory. Memory, good afternoon. Please pick a question from 1 to 10. Oh, memory 2 has been logged out. Okay, fantastic. So I'm gonna go back to Mr. Hems. Mr. Hems, pick a question from. I'm gonna go back to Natasha. Pick a question from 1 to 10. Do you want to pick the same question, or you want to pick a different question?
Question 1.
Question number 1 reads, explain 3 underlying concepts behind good corporate governance.
Okay, 3 concepts. There's 1, integrity.
Yes.
Integrity looks at this is being honest and straightforward with the if I can put the information that the management is given. Then
Yes.
2, there is reputation. This looks at the reputation of a company.
Okay.
Then number 3, there is judgment. I think judgment comes in line with auditors using their own skills, competence, and knowledge in an audit
Fantastic.
procedure.
And your time is up. Fantastic. Great. So your time is up. But fortunately, you get all the 2 points. Natasha, congratulations. You have all the 2 points. So Natasha, there we go. Natasha walks away with the first 2 points. Okay, fantastic. That's great. Awesome. So guys, those are the 3 underlying concepts of good corporate governance. So there are a lot of underlying concepts of good corporate governance. We have a lot of them. And now I'm going to ask one of you to pick another question. I'll explain these ones later because there's a question coming up again on underlying concepts. So I'm going to ask Chansa to pick a question from number 1 to number 10.
Number 1.
Number 1. All right. Number one reads. Of course, I'm going to replace the one that that Natasha picked. So I'm going to ask you the one that follows. Okay. So number 1. So from question number 1 to 10, here's the question. On the underlying concept of good corporate governance is openness, accountability, and independence. Explain, not in details, the meaning of these three elements: accountability, independence, and openness. Your time starts now.
Independence has to do with objectivity, and you said openness.
Yes.
Openness has to do with being transparent in the way you are in your business dealings.
20
Then
seconds.
the other one was which one, sir?
There's openness, accountability, and transparency.
Transparency has to do with
Your time is up. Okay, fantastic. So I'm gonna give you one. Okay, I'm gonna give you one. So let's explain this one. So you get one. Accountability has got to do with holding the directors to account for the decisions they make on behalf of the shareholders. Good corporate governance was established specifically to monitor the behaviors of those that are charged with governance and to eliminate the agency problem. So, how do we ensure that the agency problem is eliminated? Is by holding to account those who have been charged with governance. The directors and management must account, or it must be made answerable for the decisions they make. When it comes to openness, openness is extremely important, but because we want to be transparent in our way of doing things with regard to financial statements and, of course, essential financial information. I'm not explaining this in full because there's a question on transparency again down. So I want to explain it in full, right? But when it comes to independence, independence has got to do with the auditors being able to act like what Natasha said, being not just being independent on paper, but also being seen as being independent. Because if you're not independent as an auditor, your opinion will be as good as useless. All right. So what makes you to give a professional judgment is because you're independent. Not you're making a decision because your wife told you, your husband told you, your fiance, your boyfriend, your mom or dad, whoever told you. You're deciding to do this because that's what you strongly believe as a professional, as something that you should be able to do. So you must be seen to be independent. So what can help you do that is to be able to put forth some of a few. There's a question again. Let me end here on this one again. Okay. So what we have, guys, fantastic. That's great. So, Mr. Piri, you're back. Pick a question from question number 1 to 10. Question from number 1 to 10, Mr. Piri. Mr. Piri, you're back. Pick a question from 1 to 10. Okay, Chancellor gets 1. All right, let's go to Mr. Hems. Mr. Pete didn't seem to hear us. Mr. Hems, pick a question from 1 to 10.
Question number 10.
Question number 10. State 5 safeguards against independence. 5 safeguards against lack of independence. State 5 safeguards. Your time starts now. That is what I didn't want to explain because I knew there was a question coming. 5 safeguards. 20 seconds remaining. 15 seconds
one of
remaining.
them is impaired judgment.
10 seconds remaining.
Pass, sir.
3, 2, 1, 0. Fantastic. Thank you very much. You get your first egg, Mr. Hems. All right. Let's go to Mr. Piri. Mr. Piri, pick a question from 1 to 10, or you can pick the one that we just asked Mr. Hems. Mr. Piri? Okay, Mr. Piri and memory are being logged in and out. I don't know why. So I'm going to go back to Natasha. Natasha, pick a question from 1 to 10. Either you can pick the one that Mr. Piri was asked, or you. Okay, Mr. Piri is back. His network is terrible. Let's ask Natasha. Natasha, pick a question from 1 to 10, or you can choose to answer the one that we asked Mr. Hems.
I think I can go with the same question.
All right. So state 5 safeguards.
I think one would be not accepting bribes from, let's say, shareholders.
Okay.
2, not doing the same way, not being friends with them, or rather not working for them for more than 5 years.
Okay.
3 would be not, I think familiarity, being friends with directors of the company would cause familiarity.
Okay.
And then 4, what would 4 be? I think trying to kill self-review where you don't prepare the financial statements and get to audit them at the same time.
Yes,
Then
5.
5, come on, it's 5. It's gone.
All right. I'm going to give you one.
Five.
I'm going to give you one. Yeah, so I'll give you one. Of course, you don't want to become an advocate of your client, all right?
Oh yeah, okay.
Remember, Natasha? You don't want to
Yes,
be
yes, I
advocating for
remember
clients.
that, yeah.
So what means for you auditors? For you to be independent, you must be able to distance yourself from anything that may make you look like you're on the side of the client. For example, the client has been sued to go to the courts of law, and then your client asks you to come and be a witness. Now, you don't have to reject being a witness. No, that's not the point. The point is to ask, if you want me to be a witness, am I going to argue for or against you? If you can say something good about a client and something bad about a client, then that's okay. But if a client just wants to be a witness to support them, that's not okay. All right. So you can be a witness only when you're allowed to argue for or against the client. But if you're just going to argue for the client, then don't accept, because it's going to impair your judgment. All right. That's extremely important. The others, I think you did well, except for the one where I said don't work for them for 5 years. I think that also is not correct. 5 years is not the maximum number of years we talked about to constitute familiarity. Yeah. So those ones are. So I'm going to give you one. So Chanza, pick a question from 1 to 10.
Six.
Question number 6. Question number 6 reads, state 3 many types of good corporate governance codes. State 3 many types of good corporate governance codes. 3 types. And your time starts now.
The Sarbanes-Oxley Act.
19 seconds remaining.
There is
seconds.
the Bank of Gambia Act on corporate governance.
5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Fantastic. Thank you so very much. That's incorrect. You get your first egg. All right. So Chancellor gets the first egg. So let's go back to Mr. Hems. Mr. Hems, do you want the same question or you want to answer a different question? State 3 types of main corporate governance codes. Do you want the same question or a different question?
Different questions, sir.
Different question. Because it's a different question, I'm going to explain these ones. The 3 main types of good corporate governance codes. We have remember the Cadbury report,
Yeah.
right? Mr. Hems, you feel bad? The Greenberry report, and of course the Hampel report. You just all you have to do was just to state them. No need to explain anything. Okay, those are the 3. And yeah, I'm happy you've remembered what we talked about these ones. So, Mr. Hems, repeat question number 6. Question number 6 reads: explain the purpose of the Greenberry report.
The purpose of the Greenberry report. The Greenberry report was established in the 1990s,
Yes.
so that they look at the remuneration of the directors, so that they can look at the directors of the remuneration of directors report in a rigorous manner. So hence they suggested that they should create a committee for remuneration to look at their packages.
Fantastic. All right, great. Okay. That's not the best of answers, but it's true. That's correct. Okay. So we're going to give you the full 2 points. Okay. So Mr. Hems gets his full 2 points. Fantastic. So the Greenberg report, yes, its purpose is to deal with directors' remuneration. I would have loved to explain further, but I'm going to pause here and go to Mr. Piri, because the question again on the Greenberg report. So if I explain, I may touch on the answer. So, Mr. Piri, pick a question from 1 to 10. Pick a question from 1 to 10, Mr. Piri. Okay, Mr. Piri cannot hear us. I'm going to go back to Natasha. Natasha, pick a question from 1 to 10.
Question 8.
Question 8 reads, explain issues that led to the establishment of the Greenberg report.
Issues that led to the Greenberg report. Wow, why did I choose this question? I really can't remember the guys, but I think I'll pass on this one.
All right, fantastic. So, like Ms. Hems was saying, Natasha, in the 1990s, it was recognized that corporate governance issues relating to directors' remuneration needed to be addressed in a much more rigorous manner, all right? And because of that, this led to the establishment of the Greenberg report. It's the same answer Mr. Hems gave.
But we needed the scenario, like we get to mention
it was just asked in a different way, all right?
All right,
Just to see, it's just the same question. So fantastic. So Natasha gets a first egg. That's amazing, okay? So Natasha has a first egg. So we go back to, of course, Chansa. Pick a question from 1 to 10.
2.
Question number 2 reads, state 2 issues that were addressed in the Greenberg report.
Pass.
Pass. So Chansa gets a second egg. Fantastic. Mr. Hems, do you want a different question or the same question?
Different question.
All right. So the 2 issues that were discussed in the Greenberg report, number 1 was simply the role of a remuneration committee in setting up the remuneration packages for the CEO and other directors. This is one issue which was discussed. And then the other issue which was discussed was, of course, the required level of disclosure needed by shareholders regarding details of directors' remuneration and where there is need to obtain shareholders' approval. Those are the few things to discuss. Of course, there was another issue. For example, they also discussed specific guidelines for determining a remuneration policy for directors. They also discussed service contracts and provisions binding the company to pay compensation to a director, particularly in the event of dismissal for unsatisfactory performance. In the past, when you fire a director, you would compensate them heavily, regardless of their performance. But now this time around, there was a discussion to see, of course, to see provisions binding the company to pay compensation to a director, particularly in an event where this director has been fired for unsatisfactory performance. So these were the issues that were discussed in the Greenberg report. So Mr. Hems, let's go. Question number 1 to 10, which one did you pick?
Question number 5.
Number 5 says, explain the 2 issues that were discussed in the Hampel report.
Question 8.
2 issues that were discussed
Question
in the Hampel
8.
report. You simply said question 5 a few seconds ago.
It's not me. There's someone else talking.
Question 8.
Oh, that's Mr. Piri. Mr. Piri's network is behind. He's saying question number 8. Okay, fantastic. We'll ask question 8. But for now, Mr. Hems, can you give us a solution for that?
Question 8.
Yeah. The Hampel report merely was set up to review the recommendations of the Greenberry and the Cadbury reports. And one of the issues that was discussed were centered on one of the issues discussed was that the NEDs were supposed to be appointed for a specific
5,
period,
4,
and
3,
the contracts
2,
for the contract service
1.
should not exceed
Time
3
up.
years.
You started very well. Unfortunately, I'm going to give you an egg. All right.
Oh,
So
no.
this round, all of you gets your eggs. Okay. Okay. Fantastic. So, Mr. Hemzu did very well. Actually, the purpose of the Hampo report. This was established in 1996 by the Hampo Committee to review specifically and revise the Area 2 recommendations of the Cadbury report and the Greenberry report. All right. So the report emphasized principles of good corporate governance rather than rules, because they realized that actually when they did the Cadbury report, they had rules. They did the Greenberry report, they had rules. Now, people, of course, directors were hiding behind the rules. Directors were hiding behind the rules. Hence the reason why those people were hence the reason why the committee decided to do what, to come up with a Hampo report to address those two issues, all right? To remove the issue of rules, but to bring about principles that are going to be applicable in an event that there's no specific rule. Like the way it is in the Bible contains rules, and also it contained rules in the past, those commandments, but God changed and gave us principles. So at an event that we are faced with a situation which does not have a specific scripture in the Bible, we can think for ourselves and ask ourselves, how would God feel? Would God be happy with this? That's the same issue approach they took when it came to Ample report. All right, so the main issues which were discussed were, number one, the need for increasing shareholder value, because they saw that the shareholders were missing out. They are the ones who are losing the biggest. So what do? They increase the value of shareholders. And also, the second issue discussed was to maintain a sound system of internal controls and, of course, proper risk management systems, as opposed to the previous ones where they focus much more on financial controls. This time around, they said, guys, let's maintain internal control systems, but also risk management systems that are actually functional. That was the issue. So, guys, that's fantastic. Okay, that's fantastic. All right, so let's go back to Natasha. Let's go back to Mr. Piri. Mr. Piri, you said question number 8. You are behind by 4 questions, Mr. Piri. So I hope you're going to pick the 4 questions. Question number 8, Mr. Piri reads. Question number 8 reads: State two elements of good corporate governance. 2. Yes, Mr. Piri. State 2 elements of good corporate governance. That's a good question. Somebody should pick that question. Okay, Mr. Piri is not responding. He's on mute. We can't hear what he's saying. Let's go to Natasha. Natasha, do you want to pick a different question, or you want to pick the same question? I'll be shocked if you pick a different question.
I can pick the same question.
I was going to be shocked. There are 2 elements of good corporate governance:
Transparency and accountability.
Transparency and accountability, yes. Just any 2 and you are done. You get your full marks, okay? There are so many elements of good corporate governance. Accountability is one of them. Transparency is one of them. And of course, several others, right? All you had to do was state. Chance, pick a question from 1 to 10.
Question
Yes,
9.
Chansa. Question number 9.
Question 9.
What is the required number on the board of directors for NEDs? What is the required number on the board of directors for NAIDS? What is the required number of NAIDS on the board of directors? Your time starts now.
2/3.
2/3. All right, fantastic. 2/3. That's incorrect. So we give you an egg. Mr. Hems, pick a question, pick a different question or the same question. What's the required number of NAIDS on the board of directors?
Sir. I'll pick a
10?
different question.
Oh, different question. Okay. Fantastic. I thought this was the easiest question. Remember what we said? We said half of the board of directors should be NAIDS. That's half of the board should be NAIDS. There's no specific number. Just half. Chance, how do you feel about that? That must hate, Chansa. That must hate. Okay.
Yes.
I felt that way. Yeah, that must hate. You remember after you've said it. So yes, Mr. Hems has gone to a different question. Mr. Hems, what's your question?
Number 10.
Explain clearly the difference between the board chair and the CEO.
The board chair and the CEO. The
Yes.
board chair is the board chair is the, what term can I use? Okay, the CEO is the CEO is a
15 seconds.
is a contract of the shareholders, while the board chair, some of these things.
10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's sad. That's sad, Mr. Hems. You should cry.
He knows it, but he doesn't know how to say it.
He doesn't know how to say it. Unfortunately, the examiner gives him an egg. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
That's sad, Mr. Hems. Mr. Hems, that's sad, okay? That's extremely sad. And you feel bad.
I
The
do.
CEO runs the company, the board chair runs the board.
Yeah.
That's sad. You feel bad, okay? You feel so bad about that. I know. Yeah. So let's go to Natasha. Question 1 to 10.
Question 3.
Question number 3. Question number 3 reads, who is in charge of the NAIDS?
That who's in charge of the needs
Yes.
should be the shareholders, but they are appointed by the senior independent director.
Yeah. Okay, but that's Natasha. I love that. Okay. It's not the best of answers, Natasha. Come on, don't have a big head, okay? But I'm gonna give you 2. I want to give you 2, Natasha. Fantastic. So yes, guys, it is true. All the NAIDS are hired, of course, to come and protect the shareholders' interests by providing, of course, checks and balances. But they are headed by the senior independent director. All right, that's fantastic. So we go to Chansa. Pick a question from 1 to 10.
3.
Question number 3. State 3 committees where NAIDS are useful. 3 committees where NAIDS are useful. 3 committees where NAIDS are useful.
The audit committee.
1.
Remuneration committee.
2.
And the nomination committee.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Great. So that's on point. You get all the full points. Great. Okay. Mr. Hems, pick a question from 1 to 10.
Question number 9.
What is the purpose of the nomination committee?
The purpose of the nomination committee is to appoint, remove, and replace the executive director.
Fantastic. Looks like the competition is stiff. We give you the full 2 marks. Natasha, back to you. Question 1 to 10.
Question 6.
Question number 6 reads, question number 6 reads, in the context of audit and assurance, what does the term those charged with governance refer to?
Those charged with governance refers to the management. Yes, the management, as they are the ones that give us, as they're the ones that they give us the information that we need for us to audit the entire company.
All right, that's incorrect. That's incorrect. That's sad. You feel bad about that,
Okay.
I'm sure. That's
No.
going to be bad. We'll give you an egg. Chansa, do you want a different question or the same question?
I think the same one.
Yes, Chansa, go ahead.
It it refers to the board of directors.
Yes.
Those are the ones who are charged with governance.
All right. So Natasha said it refers to the management. There's a difference between management and the board of directors. But I would have loved if one of you said something like this, like we said in class. We said the statement those charged with governance may refer to the entire board of directors, but sometimes, depending on the situation, that statement may also refer to the audit committee. You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's say the directors have been involved in some fraudulent activities. Then you're supposed to report, for example, to those charged with governance. So those charged with governance changes to the audit committee. So some books have argued that those charged with governance are the audit committee because they're the ones who provide checks and balances on the board of directors. But for the purpose of this course, we said whenever you see the word those charged with governance, it must be on your mind that you're referring to the entire board of directors, the entire board, okay? The entire board. So we give you 2. We go to, of course, Mr. Hems, a question from 1 to 10. Pick a question from 1 to 10, Mr. Hems. Mr. Hems, question 1 to 10. Okay, Mr. Hems is frozen. All right, let's go back to Chansa, to Natasha, 1 to 10. Mr. Hems is frozen. Question number 1, explain the criteria that must be met for one to be appointed to the board.
Criteria, the one must be appointed to the board.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Pass.
That sounds interesting, right?
It does.
Because we talked about the criteria that the appointing committee looks at on their part, but we've asked from the other way. Chansa, do you want the same question or something else?
Something else.
Something else. So Chansa's run away from this question. Okay, let's talk about that. So appointment to the board, there's what's called the nomination committee, majority of whom are NEDs. Of course, they have a criteria for selection of new members. And of course, they report their work to annual in the annual reports. And of course, they're the ones who organize the inductions and the training for directors. That's for the committee. Now, for the director, we said one of the criteria must be somebody who has relevant knowledge, all right, to help the board. For example, you must be, for example, must be somebody who has recent relevant financial knowledge, who can provide better checks and balances. must not have less than 3 years of work experience, because that would be not so much wise to bring somebody who has less than 3 years work experience to come and provide oversight. But also, we also said that one of the criteria must be that the person being appointed to the board must meet all the qualifications according to the required standards for one to be director. So, what is required in the industry? Is it is it qualifications? Is it a degree? Is it a master's degree? Is it the experience? Is it the industry? So you must be from the relevant industry. Okay. I think this was a much more of, yeah. Anyway, final question for each one of you. Final question. Final question. Final question. So, Mr. Chansa, pick a question from 1 to 10. Your final question. Final question 1 to 10.
I picked 3.
Question number 3. Question number 3 it reads: explain the structure of the audit committee.
Okay.
Explain the
So
structure
there is
of the audit committee.
the audit committee is comprised of audits and is spearheaded by the chairperson of that committee. Then the others sit as members of the committee.
All right. What was the first thing you said? There's a word that you swallowed. I want to hear it correctly.
I said that the committee, the audit committee, is comprised of audits, non-executive directors.
Okay, fantastic.
That's
That's
what
all
I
right.
said.
Okay.
And it's
So
spearheaded by
I'm gonna
the
give you one.
chair.
I'm gonna give you one because of that part you said, all needs. Okay. So yes, it's a requirement that the audit committee contains non-executive directors entirely. No executive director should be there. But of course, we said at least one of those members must have recent relevant financial experience. That's a must. This is because the role of an audit committee, guys, is to oversee companies' financial reporting. So, how do you bring people who have no recent relevant financial experience to come and give advice on financial reporting? So, this cannot be done. We also say that being able to give financial advice on companies' financial reporting, it requires somebody who has relevant financial reporting knowledge and experience, not just anybody. Yeah, so I'm going to give you one for that. So that was the final question for all of you. So no, have I asked Natasha the final question? Okay, Mr. Hems is back. Mr. Hems, pick a question from 1 to 10. You have 2 questions because now we're looking at the final question. So Chansa gets 1. So Mr. Hems, you have 2 questions.
Question number 4.
Question number 4 reads, and it says, what is the importance of communication with those charged with governance? What's the importance of communication with those charged with governance?
It is important so that they get to know what the auditors found as they were auditing.
How do you feel about that? Mr. Hems, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. I just don't know how to put it. There are things I was just reading.
You are just studying today.
Yes.
Yeah, it happens. Even in the exams, sometimes you may forget something that you actually know. Don't forget the correct answer, okay? You may forget another thing in the exam. not the actual answer. So Mr. M's will give you an egg. Pick another question.
Question number 3.
Question number 3. Okay. So question number 3, before I explain it, before I ask it, I want to explain to you the importance of communication with those that are charged with governance. We said that, first of all, we said those charged with governance, are those people that have the responsibility for overseeing the strategic direction of the business and, of course, its obligations relating to accountability of the entity. We have management, and also we have the board of directors. The board of directors are the ones we refer to as those as governance. And the importance of communicating with these ones, partly because it assists those charged with governance to understand, all right, audit-related matters in context, and allows them to develop a constructive working relationship. But also, this communication allows the auditors to obtain information relevant to the audit that they are currently undertaking. The other reason was that this communication may assist those charged with governance to fulfill their responsibility to oversee the financial reporting process by also contributing to reduction in the risk of material misstatements in the financial statements. Those are some of the reasons that we gave out on the importance of communication with those charged with governance on the part, of course, of the auditors. Because if you don't communicate, how are you going to know things? Are you going to get relevant information? Are you going to ensure they understand the responsibility when it comes to financial reporting preparation? So that must hit. Question number 4 is state 4 matters to be communicated by those, but to be communicated by auditors to those charged with governance. State 4 matters to be communicated by auditors by those charged with governance. That's your question, Mr. Hems. That sounds good.
Okay. So one is the nature, timing, and extent of the audit.
That's good.
Then the second one is
That's good. You've started very well. And your time is ticking. 15 seconds. That's good.
the audit conclusion.
Now you're fishing. Fantastic. So you got one. Unfortunately, I'm not going to give you one because out of 4, you got one. Natasha, we are going to give the answer to this one. Matters to be communicated by the auditors to those charged with governance. One of them was, of course, the auditor's independence. That's extremely important to discuss the independence of the auditors and anything that may impair or threaten the independence of the auditors. Number 2, we talked about what you said, the planned scope and timing of the audit. Of course, number 3, we said there could be some significant findings from the audit that you want to communicate to the board so that they may be able to understand. And then the 4th reason we said was that the auditor's responsibilities in relation to the financial statements must always be communicated to the board of directors so that they understand what the auditors are coming to do and what the management director's role is going to be. That's extremely important. So we are not going to exhaust everything for now because most of your colleagues are not here today. But anyway, that is fantastic. It's all good to see you guys, and I'm happy to have you here. Thank you, Litang Lube. I can always depend on you. Irene, fantastic. It's good to have you. So, guys, thank you very much. Let's look at this short slide here to just establish the results of what you guys have done. Okay, the results of what you guys have done, just to make sure that we compile, because we're going to make payouts to you guys. This is money, guys. This is money. You guys are gonna be very, very rich in the next few days. Okay, there you go. So what we have, of course, so here, right, we have, of course, we can simply do that just to ascertain how much you have. There we go. 8. Okay. Yeah. So we have 8, 7, and 5. So Natasha takes the day. So today, Natasha, you are number 1. Of course, so Natasha, today, Natasha, you take the day. So Natasha number 1, Chansa number 2, and Mr. Hems number 3. And of course, Mr. Piri has been logged in and out, comes out at the 4th place. Memory, of course, was logged in and out. She was coming out, of course, at the 5th place. So fortunately, this one has come through in a very, very good, yeah, fantastic. So guys, this is good. We have some progress. Of course, Olipa, this one did not even try to pop up. So we are going to do something like that. So guys, thank you very much. So Natasha, looks like you're going to enjoy yourself. Last week you're on the 2nd place. This week you're on the 1st place. That means each week you're getting something for yourself. That's fantastic. So this time payment is going to go in full to Natasha. And in second payment is going to go to Chansa. And of course, the third and the remaining ones can suit themselves. Isn't that wonderful, people? I think that's amazing. I think that's amazing. That's amazing. So, Chanza gets number 3, second, Natasha first, Mr. Hems third, Mr. Piri fourth, and Memory and Odipa 5th and 6th. That's great. So, there's some progress. We're making progress, people. So, what I want you to do is to take some time, okay, think through these things, and also just be able to be ready. Anytime we may say let's have a quiz, okay? We are having another quiz on Sunday, okay? We have another quiz on Sunday so that we can finish up the remaining part. So Sunday we have a quiz. So read through these things, prepare yourself. Tonight we have a class. All right. We have a class tonight. And Sunday we have a quiz. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, if you want to enroll for the June 2023 exam classes, feel free to call or WhatsApp the number 0953 979798. That would be fantastic. So guys, thank you very much. Your sacrifice will never go in vain. All of you have won this quiz because you've participated. That's the most important thing. Every time you participate, you win because you've learned something new, you've remembered something new, and that's the spirit that we want. We want to ensure our records are kept intact, and we want to ensure that you guys enjoy yourselves on that fateful Thursday morning. So, guys, thank you very much. May God bless you. I'm happy to have you with me, and I've enjoyed myself. Okay, I'm proud of you, Natasha. I'm very happy to see that you've kept on getting momentum, and it's also good to see that Chance and Mr. Hems have picked up, and everything is going on according to plan. So, guys, let's do the same on Sunday. Prepare yourselves for the remaining half of the topic at hand. We are still under corporate governance, but tonight we have a class where we are going to discuss an amazing topic tonight. Let me just bring the topic for you for tonight, so that you may just understand. Tonight we are starting a new topic. You're looking at the regulatory framework, so that too may be in the next of course next quiz. We'll be able to discuss money laundering tonight. And of course, we are going to discuss a few things other than money laundering. So, regulatory environments, money laundering, and stuff like that. The IASB, we are going to do all those kind of things. Know your customers and stuff like that. So, we'll be discussing those ones tonight. Guys, thank you very much. May God bless you. May you find love, peace, and joy. Okay? I'm going to see you tonight at 21 hours.